Welcome, everyone. I am so stoked to be here with Eliza today. We met only 3 months ago. It seems like a lifetime, but it was only towards the end of June.
Yeah.
And Eliza is here today to share her recovery story. So, first of all, welcome, Eliza. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really good. Happy to be on this side of the fence, I guess, and nearing the end. But yeah, I'm good.
Finally, you're not that person watching the recovery videos, but you're actually recording a recovery video. How does that feel?
Yeah, bit surreal, but it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I think that we have to share it right off the bat. It's not your first period, it's already your second period within 3 months.
Yeah, which is amazing. It really happened so pretty quick. It did feel like a long time when you're in the thick of it, but yeah, in the scheme of things, 6 years without a period and then or more basically, and then 3 months with 2 periods. It's great.
Incredible. Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty. First of all, how did you lose your period? When did you realize that it was a problem for you?
Um, well, I was on the pill for a long time, so I think it masked it for a while, but it would have been 6 to 7 years ago I came off the pill and then never got another bleed after that. Um, a lot of disordered eating up until that point. I lost a lot of weight, cut out good fats and carbs, was exercising. I've never been like a full runner or I don't think in over exercise like excessive, but definitely, exercising fasted and all that kind of stuff that I now know not good for my hormones. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my story. Like I just was at obviously a weight that my body wasn't happy with for a long time.
So, just to clarify, did you stop the pill 6 years ago?
Yeah, just over 6 years ago now. Yeah.
Okay, so chances are that your period was missing for more than 6 years and possibly even a decade, let's say.
Yeah, and I do think so because when I was on the pill, it was getting really light at the end, and I remember like saying, "Oh, my period goes for a day," and I guess the withdrawal bleed, but yeah, I think I did lose it before then.
Okay. And tell me, Eliza, so you didn't have a period for 6 years. When did you start thinking, okay, this is not normal. I actually need to do something about this?
Yeah, so I came off the pill and then it didn't come back in a year, and I was going to doctors and saying, this isn't coming back, what's going on? And they were all just quite dismissive. It'll come back, it's just taking a bit longer for you, maybe just make sure you're eating, don't exercise much, like kind of thing, but no real guidance.
Mm.
Um, and then I think it was maybe 2 years down with no period at all. I was like, what is going on? So I went to my doctor and was like, this is not okay. I haven't had a period in 2 years. What's happening? I think I always, reflecting now, always knew that it had to do with something to do with my weight, but I was really in denial. I didn't want to admit that I'd have to put on weight to get it back. So I did everything that I possibly could to avoid that.
Yeah.
Whether it was acupuncture, going to a naturopath, going to all the specialists under the sun. I had the MRIs, and it actually came back with like a pituitary abnormality, but the specialist was saying this has got nothing to do with your missing period. I was like, I don't believe you. So I was forcing them to basically keep like searching for something else. And then I think it was really Instagram, my own research, that I kind of come up with HA and was like, maybe this is what I've got.
Mm.
Um,
It's fascinating how expensive it is to be in denial, isn't it?
so much wasted money. Now me and my husband laugh. We're just going, oh my gosh, how much money did you spend when you just needed to have a few burgers? Eat a little bit more carbs, a bit more potato and rice. How much cheaper would it have been? So,
Yeah, and we laugh in hindsight, but the reality is that back in the days, I used to do the same, taking so many supplements such as iodine, selenium. I used to get them from New Zealand back then, so they would be so super expensive. And it would have been so much better for me to just have a couple of ice creams every single night. It would have been much quicker and definitely less expensive.
Yeah.
Um, but so you discovered about hypothalamic amenorrhea and something clicked in your brain and you thought, oh, this could be me.
Yeah.
And what did you decide to do after that?
Well, then I just kept watching everything on Instagram, was following everyone, pretty much starts becoming obsessed with like, tell me more about what I need to do and listening to podcasts. But I was still so scared to take that step to put on weight. So I did see a dietitian way earlier and they gave me a bit of a plan and said, here, eat this, but didn't address like the body image and like the fear of weight gain for me. So just telling me to eat the food, I was like, I can't do that. Wasn't enough support. So yeah, I was still in denial for a long time. And then I think I got married, and then it was like you're looking down the barrel of IVF, you're looking down all the other fertility hormone treatments that I know sound like they don't really work for HA often. So I just kicked into gear and thought I have to do this, and went all in, which was intense, but
It was really intense. And then I remember that you joined one of my free master classes, that how to get the period back in 3 months. We started talking and then we jumped on a call. And I have to admit that in the beginning, you were quite resistant. You're like, yeah, I get it that you may be able to support me, but I kind of don't want to do this. I don't like myself right now. So can you expand on that a little bit more?
yeah, it was like I had a part of me pulling me towards like putting on weight, going through this process, and then like the ED part that was like, this is wrong, this is not your diagnosis, like this is not this isn't going to work for you. And I was just being pulled in both directions. So I think that I was still resistant and thinking like, do I take this leap because it's not going to work. But I think you tuning into your intuition that your body knows, and you know what it is. I never, even thinking about the IVF, like I knew, I was like, that's not where I don't need that. Like I know my body can do this. I just have to like invest in it and do what I think is right. So yeah, I think hindsight, there was always that resistance of I'm the only one this is not going to work for.
Course.
um, but I think like you said, you're not a unicorn. I
It's
think
very normal to feel like the only one that is not gonna get the period back though, because when you're in the thick of it, when you're doing the things and you're not gonna seeing any results, then it's very normal for your body, for your brain actually to protect you and tell you this clearly is not working out for you. So it's better for you if you actually take the pill or if you do IVF so that you can take yourself out of the misery that you're living in.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the good news is that you decided to give yourself a go. You join the team, you join the Fear Comeback Protocol, and let's talk about it because I remember that there were a couple of instances. So it was not all, it wasn't a downhill path for you. There were a couple of instances where you sent me a message and you're like, Claudia, you know what? I'm ready to give up. I don't care. I'm just gonna give up today.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because there are so many women that are in exactly the same situation and they don't know how to recover from feeling like that.
Yeah, it was it was, and it obviously is maybe not as much of a struggle anymore, but in the thick of it, yeah, like there was days where I was just like, this is awful and I can't keep going because I'm not seeing any progress. Like you can't see what's going on the inside. You have to just trust Claudia and trust that your advice is going to steer me where I need to go. But actually, like, it's so hard not to have like, I don't know, like a cup that you watch filling up and then it's overflowing and then you get period. There's just no And I was really struggling with that, and I was struggling with the weight gain a lot. I think that period where you start to put on weight and then your clothes don't fit, and I haven't bought new clothes yet, so going to work was the biggest trigger for me, because it was like, what am I going to wear? I've got nothing to wear. And again, it would just stress me out, and then I would have meltdowns of, oh my God, I'm not getting better, and I'm just getting fat, and I'm not getting anywhere. So it was such a roller coaster of emotions. And I think once I got new clothes, it was like such a turning point of accepting my body a little bit more, and not being as triggered, not being as upset when I saw myself in the mirror because my clothes fit. So that would be one thing that obviously I think anyone needs to just go out and don't look at sizes, just buy whatever fits your body and be comfortable.
And it sounds so simple, right? Just go out, go to the shop, buy something new, buy something that fits you and make you feel beautiful. But the reality is that buying a different size is also letting go of your old identity. And for someone that had a past eating disorder, that identity, that sick identity is really strong. And your brain was trying to do whatever it could to actually protect that.
Yeah.
How did you manage to walk yourself to a shop and actually buy something new?
Yeah, I did cry in the change room once at the shops. That was like such a low moment. I was like, oh, nothing fits. But I think I had to go out, and I was like, I've got to get things to fit me. Like I always had that, like, I don't know, guide on my shoulder being like, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do it for your period. Like, you're doing this more than just for a baby. Like, you need a cycle, and you need this for your bones. And like, I had to just keep reassuring myself. And I think having you always just send a message and like, I'm struggling, and you would just validate and support me through that next little wave, just to get me through to the next day, or the next week. And that's probably the best advice. It's like, it's just one day at a time, one step forward, just keep stepping forward and don't go back. And yeah, there's so many times where I was like, I'm going backwards, no, I'm over this. But then it was like, well, I've come this far, I can't give up now. Because all this hard work is got to go somewhere. So I think you're in such a weird phase where you're doubting everything, but you're moving forward, and all those little steps eventually lead to something really amazing.
Mm. But what you said is very important though, because lots of women recover in isolation. And when you're in the thick of it and you feel so miserable, it's very easy to give up. And sometimes you actually do need that extra support and someone that tells you, just take one day at a time. What you're experiencing right now is so very normal. You're gonna feel better, but you need to put the trust in someone else when you're doubting yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that for you was quite tricky because, correct me if I'm wrong, but until the very last minute, you didn't have that many symptoms. You didn't have that flowy, abundant cervical mucus. You didn't have headaches, back pains, or that much that you could go by. So can you actually tell us a little bit more of how did you know that you're about to get your first period?
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea that it was coming. Like, I guess I was maybe really tired in that first week, but I'd also had a big weekend away for my friend's 30th, so I didn't think that I would have anything come. It was really surprising, and I almost doubted it, because my first period was quite light spotting. I didn't have a whole lot of build up of my lining. So yeah, even when I had that, I was a bit like skeptical, going, it's, what is it? Didn't even really know what it was. So, and even for the second period that came, I again, I have temp drops, so I've been tracking my temperatures, but my temperatures have been up and down and all over the place, and nothing really gave me the indication that I had ovulated.
Mm.
Until right at the end, my temperatures did rise, but I don't know what happened there. Seems like the rise was almost too late to record the ovulation. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have a whole heap of cervical mucus. I didn't have all the signs to really know what was coming. It just sort of came, which was amazing. But
And I really appreciate that you're sharing that, because lots of women are doubting themselves because they're expecting the abundance of cervical mucus. And for some women, it's literally nothing, and something that you really have to watch out for. And also, it's important to talk about that first period that you had, the first tentative of a period that you didn't even celebrate, because you saw it was clearly a period, but you were not happy because you were expecting more. So you had that expectations in your mind that as soon as your first period will come back, it would be like a full flow, a sort of a liberatory kind of period. And so can you actually talk about the disappointment of your first cycle?
yeah, I was happy, but yeah, disappointed. I just didn't want to. I've always had this. I think it's like a part of me that's a protector of don't get too excited, because if this doesn't work, like it's just another letdown after obviously 6-7 years of being let down by a period not coming. So yeah, that first little spotting, I was like, well, this is amazing, but I can't celebrate because it's not a full flow, it's not a full period, and it could mean anything. Like I don't know. I just couldn't really celebrate. And I think even Gabby messaged me like, you've got your period. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't have a period. She's like, oh, okay. But yeah, awesome anyway. But yeah, I just felt like so disappointed. Then the people around me, my friends and stuff, and like it's at least something, and just wait another cycle, and you have to move your expectations so that you were expecting a full flow, but just expect that this might take a while to come back, and it might come more slowly than you think, or not be as full as you think straight away. And yeah, adjusting expectations is good for that, because it's a disappointment.
And I remember when you showed me the pictures of your first period, and you were like, "Nah, it's not even that." And I was like, "So, Eliza, what is it then?"
Yeah.
So you're literally seeing blood, and you're
Yeah.
still in denial that it can happen to you, which is nothing short of amazing, and yet quite common. And let's also underline the fact that you went from 6+ years without a period. And how long did it take you to get that first little period?
No, I was actually gonna have a look at that before this call, but I don't know. It was over a month ago now. And when did I start to see you
In a month and a half. That's how long it took you.
Yeah.
In a month and a half, you got your first period back.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that when you were in the thick of it felt like a forever.
You really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next question actually for you, Eliza, is if you could speak to one person, one woman that is watching this and is in a very similar situation, now that you can speak in hindsight, what would you tell that woman, or what would you tell your younger self, yourself back in February, back in March?
Definitely don't give up,
Mm,
and that it will work for you. You just have to have faith and really believe in yourself, believe in your body. And I think mindset is a big part of it, because I almost do think I was like that resistant part we talked about before, of me being really resistant to it and saying this isn't going to work for you. Once I'd switched the narrative and I started being like, this is coming, like I'm getting my period, it's going to come, and I started not focusing on body image as much, and started shifting my mindset. I think that's really what like was the last thing that just needed to happen before I got a period. So don't underestimate the power of the mind, and don't give up, and then you can do it, would be my advice. But I know that that's probably so hard to hear.
yeah, it's hard to hear, but it's also the reality of it.
Yeah.
And it's very important that you spoke about mindset, because you're also coming from a place where you work with people in terms of mindset. And even though that's your job, it's still okay to reach out for support, to ask for help
Yeah.
when it comes to changing your beliefs around what you do and the way that you look,
Yeah.
and your behaviors and thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think too, I have had so much growth in that area because I've had to do everything opposite what I was doing before, which has challenged my like the eating disorder behaviors. So now that I'm no longer enabling or I guess recycling those behaviors and doing it over and over again, my mindset's changed because I'm now thinking about food in a different way and I'm thinking about my body in a different way. And it's, yeah, as much as my body's changed, my mind's changed a lot too, and in a really beautiful way. So I'm obviously not stoked that I haven't had a period for 6 years, but I think I've learned a lot in this journey that I wouldn't have if I had an eating disorder and managed to still have a period.
I always truly deeply believe that hypothalamic amenorrhea happens for you and not to you. And I keep saying this as a broken record, but that's what I feel that it is like for women, because you allow yourself to slow down and to really tune in with your body and deal with behaviors that are not part of your current reality any longer, but that you have been bringing with you for so many years, just out of habit. And I have to say that, you know, in the first couple of months that we spent together, there was lots of talking around body image and the fact that you didn't really enjoy the you body that you were experiencing at that time. And I've also noticed that over the past 30 days, you haven't really talked about your body at all. And I'm not saying that the relationship that you have with your body right now is perfect, because no one has a perfect relationship with their bodies, but it has not been in the forefront of your mind. Otherwise, you would have shared that with the people around you.
Yeah, definitely. Something's switched in there, something's really clicked, and it does feel much more lighter on me, and I'm not caught up in it. And yeah, of course, like summer's coming here, it's going to be a bit tricky to get my swimmers, and there's going to still be obstacles too, but there's a newfound appreciation for my body, and I will never starve it again. Like, I just think that by feeding myself physically, I've like almost fed my soul, or like my worth. And I just think like it plays a big part in what you deserve. You deserve to eat, and you deserve food, and your body needs it to run, but it's also about your worth as a human as well, just if that makes sense. Yeah.
And I think that also summer is actually a nice opportunity for you to show off all your hard work. And you can show to yourself how far you have come, and you can finally play around with different type of swimsuit, different type of dresses that you didn't put on before, because maybe you were just too focused on having the leggings on so that you can go for a run or go to the gym, or like things you can experience a different Eliza. You can welcome a different reality. And last question, I promise. What's next for you? What do you think that is going to be your next goal, or something that you have in mind now that you got your period back?
Definitely want a baby, so we're going to be trying for a baby, which is exciting that I can do that naturally. So that's the next thing, and I think just continuing to eat and be healthy, focus on just nourishing and like working on my self-worth and body image, and yeah, just more growth in that area, because it set me on such a good path that I don't want to go backwards. Like, I don't really I actually don't have a weight loss goal. I'm really like, I don't care such anymore. So that's amazing to say for me, because I never thought I would ever say that.
And you can show off your baby bump at the beach. Well, something that we have always spoken about visualization. So time for you now to stop visualizing your next period, but visualizing something else.
Maybe, yeah, it's my little belly in the mirror every morning.
Yes. Now that you're confident in terms of looking at your belly in the mirror, let's visualize your nice round belly in the mirror.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Eliza, for sharing your story. I know that it's going to touch someone out there, and it's going to be helpful for at least a woman, and I know more than that. It has been a pleasure spending this time with you, and I will see you next time.
you so much. You're amazing. You've been so, so helpful in this process. And if anyone is doubting Claudia, she's amazing. Jump on board, because yeah, I wouldn't have kept going if I didn't have someone to keep encouraging me and pushing me over the line. So thank you so much.
Thank you, lovely. Bye.